Let me start off by saying that Christianity does not rise and fall on moral teaching. It rises and falls on the claim that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. In fact, if He didn't rise from the dead, then Christianity falls apart completely. But if He did rise from the dead, it changes everything. I want to read a passage from Mark chapter 16. Verses 1 to 8, and it says this: When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James, and Salome brought spices so that they could go and anoint Him. Very early in the morning on the first day of the week, they went to the tomb at sunrise. They were saying to one another, "Who will roll away the stone from the entrance to the tomb for us?" Looking up, they noticed that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. When they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in white, in a white robe, sitting on the right side. They were alarmed. "Don't be alarmed," He told them. "You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they put Him. But go tell His disciples and Peter, He is going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see Him there just as He told you." They went out and ran from the tomb because trembling and astonishment overwhelmed them, and they said nothing to anyone since they were afraid. Mark's account is strikingly restrained. 3 women go to the tomb. They are worried about the stone. They arrive, it's rolled away. Inside they hear, "He is not here, He is risen." But notice what Mark doesn't include. He doesn't have a dramatic resurrection description, no glowing special effects, just an empty tomb and the declaration that He is risen. And the first witnesses? Women. In the first century, female testimony wasn't considered credible, both in Jewish society and Roman society. In fact, if women witnessed a crime, their testimony wouldn't be considered valuable enough to hold up in court. And the reason I tell you this is if you in the first century are trying to invent a resurrection story, you wouldn't make women the first witnesses of the story, and yet all 4 Gospels record that it is women that first see the empty tomb. This detail argues strongly for authenticity. But there's more. Very early Christian writing within 20 to 25 years after the crucifixion preserves a creed in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 that speaks of Jesus appearing to Peter, to the 12, and then to more than 500 at one time. You see, what we have here is a publicly executed man, an empty tomb, multiple claimed eyewitnesses, skeptics converted like James, the brother of Jesus, a persecutor turned apostle in Paul, and a movement that explodes in the very city where it all happened. Alternative explanations, of course, have been proposed. Hallucination. Maybe they just hallucinated the risen Jesus. Hallucinations are individual, not group events. 500 people at one time can't be hallucinating. What about a stolen body? Maybe the disciples just stole the body and then went about proclaiming that Jesus is risen. Now let's think about that. You're telling me that the apostles would undergo torture, brutal executions for something they knew to be a lie? That's impossible. Or what about the swoon theory? Some suggest that Jesus didn't truly die on the cross. He just fainted from exhaustion and later revived. This theory fails to account for some key facts. Romans were very good at executing people. The crucifixion was designed to kill, and the soldiers confirmed his death by the piercing of the spear into his side. And if he had survived, he would have had to roll away a mighty, big, heavy stone by himself. He would have had to take out a trained, seasoned Roman guard, only to run to his disciples and show himself to be alive. That's impossible. These post-crucifixion appearances reflect a transformed, glorified body, not someone who simply recovered from their exhaustion. Or maybe it was just a legend, just a story, just a myth. Legends take generations to develop. The proclamation that Jesus died and rose again happened immediately. The resurrection of Jesus is not a vague spiritual metaphor. It is a historical claim rooted in real history and real time. And this is why it matters, because if Jesus rose again, then death is not ultimate. If Jesus rose, his claim to be God is vindicated, and if Jesus rose, then forgiveness is secured for those who would place their faith in Jesus. Mark ends his story with a woman trembling and afraid, leaving the tomb in silence. The gospel doesn't tell us what to feel. It simply presents the evidence and leaves the response to us. My question to you today is, what will you do with this news? Because if Jesus is truly risen, he is not merely a moral teacher, he is not merely a prophet or a historic figure or a tragic victim, he is Lord. The grave could not hold him, and his resurrection changes everything for history, for humanity, and for each of us personally. The empty tomb is an invitation to see God's faithfulness, to receive his forgiveness, and to place your hope in the risen Christ who secures for you new life in him and new life eternal. So my question is, what will you do in response to Jesus? He really lived, he really died, and he really rose again.